Hey guys, welcome back to Pinehaven Acres. My name is Kirsten, and in this video we are going to be doing a build and review of this chicken coop that I got off of Amazon. Now this is not sponsored at all. I'm just building this for my turkeys actually so I can pasture raise them, and I thought it would be kind of fun to do a review over it, and also I thought it would be kind of helpful for people that are looking to purchase this and are just curious about it. There's been quite a few questions in the review section asking about the quality of the product and some of the items that are included in this kit. So I'm going to be covering all of that, and yeah, I'm super excited. Let's get into it. During this video, I want to cover 3 topics. The first one being, what is the quality of these materials like? Is it durable? Is it going to last more than a year or two? As you know, when you buy stuff off of Amazon, you don't always know the quality of the materials. So this is going to be my honest review to you guys about these materials, and if I think they're going to be a good investment or just something cheaply made that will probably not last very long. The second topic is going to be how easy is it to assemble. Are you going to need tools that are not included with the kit that you're going to need to put this together, and so on. And then the last is going to be the cost, and is it really worth it to purchase this, and that's going to also tie into the quality and so on. So it looks like we have our owner's manual. I'm guessing this is going to tell us how to put it together. Yep, it's pretty much a glorified Lego set. I think these are more fun to build than Legos, but no offense to anyone that prefers Lego building. So it's pretty much the same concept. If you've never put anything like this together, it tells you step by step the pieces that you need and how to put it together, where it goes, all of that. Yeah, it'll take a little bit of time, but overall these instructions look pretty clear on what everything is, and they all should be labeled with letters. That's how they tell you which pieces are which, is by the letters. So looks like I have a bag of miscellaneous pieces here. Here are all of the items that were in the green bag. It looks like we have one tool here. I think I might need a pair of scissors or a knife to cut zip ties off of the stuff that's in this box. But otherwise, it looks like we might have everything here. It has these little like tent stakes, and these honestly I don't think are going to hold the thing down. It's a massive chicken coop. I actually forgot to show you guys which coop exactly I got. So I'm going to do that really quick, but I don't think these are really going to do much. And then it also came with a pair of gloves, which again, I don't think these are really going to do much. This is the chicken coop that I got. It's roughly 6 feet tall by 9 feet by 13 feet. And roughly, because this owner's manual actually has no indication of the measurements, overall, it has measurements of the individual pieces, but I'd have to go back to my Amazon account to see exactly how big it is. But it's big enough to stand in, I know that, and it'll be plenty of space for 6 turkeys. So we're going to put it together and then I'll get exact measurements. But you can kind of see on the cover what it'll look like. It's got a tarp on the back half, and then on the last page it kind of shows you more of what it looks like. Again, you can see that's pretty big, and it has chicken wire over the whole thing. So let's get to building, and then yeah, we'll see exactly what it looks like. I'm going to preface this part of the video by saying there are many different ways to customize this pen. So I'm just going to do it the way that works for me with the materials that I have, and if there's something that you would prefer to do differently on your pen that you're building, 100% go ahead and do that. I also take back what I said about the gloves and them not being useful. I've barely even touched the poles and my hands are already, I don't know if you can see, the poles have like a grime on them, probably from the manufacturer. So yeah, if you don't want your hands getting dirty, wear the gloves. I'm just going to put this together and wash my hands and we'll be fine. So Yeah, I guess there was a reason why the gloves were in the box. Alright, a quick review about the quality of the products. If you can see this, the paint has been chipped off, and this literally just came out of the box. So there's some areas here that are going to rust. I know it's kind of shiny, but if you can kind of see that, the paint has already been scraped off and roughed up a little bit. So that's not super great, but the metal itself seems pretty thick and like a good quality product. So it's really just the paint job that is poor. This is where we're at now. It's looking pretty good. We have all the framing up except for the door, and it's still pretty movable right now. It's not gonna fall over, but it's not solid yet. So overall, super easy to assemble, right? It's just the two buttons that you push in, and then you slide it into the connector piece. Very simple. It's been maybe 30 minutes or less, and I already have the whole framing done. I think the wire on the sides is gonna take me a little bit longer, and I might need some help for that, but everything else was a one-person job. It really wasn't that difficult at all. All right, so the door part was a little confusing because the smaller pieces that are used for the door and around the door are not labeled with stickers. So I had to go back into the book, and the front page has an inventory list, and I had to look at that to see exactly what it was talking about. So in case you come across this and it's a little confusing, for the door itself, not the framing, but the actual door, we're gonna use the 8-piece bag of screws. And then we have these little guys. All right, so we're gonna sandwich the pole in between these and then put our screw through, and that'll secure it. And then we're also using the tool that came in the kit. Framing is completely done now, and I'm going to tell you guys what I think of it right now before I put on the chicken wire. I think it's probably a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 as far as sturdiness goes and quality. I think the materials that they used are quality materials. It's just the method of putting them together that kind of faults the design a little bit. So what I mean is these pieces up here, you just sandwich the two pipes together and then you put the bolt in there. It still moves up and down because there's nothing coming through on this side. If there were two bolts going through, that would be perfect. But right now, since there's only one right here, then this piece can still slide up and down. And I've tried tightening it as hard as I can, and it still moves a little bit. It's okay, but I'm sure the more times I open up the door, the looser it's gonna get over time. So That's my only issue with it, besides the paint that was kind of coming off a little bit. I'm gonna start on the chicken wire, and I'm already not a fan of chicken wire. It doesn't hold up very well, and raccoons can get into it and rip it apart. It's just normally not a very good idea to use that wire. I would use other like hardware cloth or other gauges of wire, but not chicken wire. So it came with the kit, so I'm going to put it on, and if I need to replace it in the future, I'm okay doing that, but I'm just going to use the chicken wire for now, and we're going to see how it goes on. They have zip ties to use, so we'll see how well that holds together. My wire just rolled all the way down the driveway. Alright, let's try that again. It's the next day, and I want to give you a little update of where we're at right now. Yesterday I finished putting the wire on. It's not completely on yet. I just zip tied it in place, and we have a lot of extra that needs to be cut off, especially on the front side and then the back. And an important thing to note that I realized is when you're taking the roll of wire and you're trying to put it on here, on the side walls it goes long ways on the ground so that you can roll it over the top. But then when you come to the front, you need to stand the roll up so it's like really tall, and then roll it sideways here. Because I don't think you're going to have enough wire if you try to do it long ways again and roll it up. I'll trim up the sides and make it look a little bit more presentable and pretty. So that's where we're at right now. The only other thing with the wire is that if you're doing it with one person, sometimes the wire catches on those little buttons that are on the pipe. So it gets kind of tricky there, but otherwise I did it with one person. Just had to work around those little buttons and try to pull it over. But it would definitely be easier with another person. Alright, so we're done with the framing and the wire. So what I've done to put on the wire is I rolled out 2 strips over this section and that section, and then I used zip ties to hold it in place, as you can see here. And then on the corners I just wrapped the wire around, and I've tried to go around twice. This one I could have gone around twice like that, so it's holding tight together. And then I used that green wire that came with it and just swirled it around the pole on every corner, and then all along the bottom, and then everywhere else, and around the door. I just did this twist tie method so that it looks at least a little bit pretty. So we're running into an issue with this metal piece here, but the one on the bottom, and like I was saying, it's slipping on this side. So as you can see, my door is on crooked. We have a bigger gap down here than we do up there because that connector piece down at the bottom here is being pulled that way. So I'm going to try to drill through the pipe and put a screw in, hold it in place better. So this is pretty much everything that was in the kit that has been done. We still have the tarp, but I bought a different tarp for the turkeys. So now what we're doing is adding these wood pieces so that we can use it as a tractor and move it. So we've cut out all of our wood. We still have to screw it together and then put on the wheels. So this is the update so far, and I'll film again once we have some progress. We are now at the wheel assembly part of the build. So I just finished this one. This is the first one that I've done. And after I show you this, I'm going to put another one together for you and explain kind of how I do it and the materials that I'm using. So how this works, let me set you down really quick. How this works is right now it's resting on the ground for the most part. We are on a hill, but to use the wheel, you just push it down on this end, and then I have a bolt here that is just loose in the 2x6. So then it comes out through here and it's now ready to use. Now this is the first wheel that I have done, so it's not going to move very much, but you can kind of see what it looks like. And then when I'm done using it and I want to set the tractor back on the ground, push it down, pop this in, and then that comes up. Alright, so this is the next corner that I'm going to be working on to attach our wheel system. The first thing that I'm going to do is put this block of wood in line with the hole that I've already drilled in this corner. And this corner is our pivot point. So once this is on here, I'm going to attach my long piece of wood to this point, and it'll end up being like this, pivoting from the back corner. To attach it, I'm using this bolt. It is 3/8 inch by 6 inches. I have a nut on this end and then 6 washers, and that's just to take up space, and we'll get to that once I assemble everything. Then in the middle here, I have a hole drilled out, and that is for our tire and the bolt that we are using for that. My tire is 10 inches and it's supposed to hold up to 300 pounds. This was the cheapest one that I could find at Menards. I would not go any smaller than 10 inches, especially for a pen this big. To attach it, I'm using a bigger bolt. This is a 5/8 inch by 6 inches. I have a nut, a washer, and then a black plastic piece that came with the tires, and that's to take up a little bit of space as well. And then at the end there, we have another block, and that's just to support our long piece against the wall so it's not super flimsy. And then our lock system is going to be another bolt that is 3/8 inch by 6 inches with a nut, and that's just going to slide in and out from our 2x6. I still have to drill out that hole for it, but I'll do that last once everything else is set up so that I know where exactly to drill into the 2x6. On our long piece of wood, the first hole for the pivot end is 2 inches from the left side, and then our hole in the middle for the tire is 15 inches from the left side. This is our pivot point. I've put in our first bolt. Now I'm going to put on my washers, and I've already attached the block that it's going into right here. And it is going to be pretty snug, so I'm just going to tap it in. The nut has been attached from the inside, and now we can move this up and down, pivoting off of the back corner. For our tire, it's pretty simple. We're going to start with our bolt, nothing on it, put it through there, and then on top of it I'm putting in this black piece. Next we're going to go through the hole that we've already drilled, and again this is kind of tight, so I'm going to use my hammer to tap it in. Alright, so that's on, and then I'm going to put on my washer and then the nut. Our support is in place, and now I need to put in our last bolt. This one's going to come out and slide back and forth in our 2x6, and that'll hold our wheel system down while it's pushing up the back end of our tractor. So I've already measured right here. I'm keeping in mind that we have a metal pole on the back side of this 2x6, so I'm just going to drill a hole bigger than our bolt so that it can slide easily back and forth. Alright, so now we are all ready to go. I have left the nut on the end of this bolt so that we can slide it in and out. So we'll keep it in. This comes down like that, and then again we just push this down, pull our bolt through to stop this from coming back up. And now our tractor's off the ground. For the chain to attach to the front so that I can pull this tractor, I'm going to be putting in this 1/2 inch by 4 inch eye bolt through here, and then it comes with a nut for the outside. So I'm just going to drill the hole for that and twist it through. I'll be using chain for my pull system in the front here, and that's just to give a more durable option for if I want to pull this manually or with a vehicle or a four-wheeler, something like that. It'll also last a little bit longer than rope would, so I decided to just go with this. And I'll be using these bolt cutters to cut my chain and shorten it up. I bought 20 feet of it, so I won't be needing that much. So how I'm attaching my chain is, obviously you saw we put this eye bolt in. I'm also going to be using this piece right here. This part twists it closed. So this is too small to put over this eye bolt, which would have been ideal, but I'm just going to work with what I have, and we're gonna loop our chain through and then use this to connect it to itself so that it won't come off. You may have noticed that the door looks at least a little bit better than it did a little bit ago. And how I fixed it was I actually had to take off the wire from both of these corners so that I could pull our door frame pieces tight. And I'll show you how I held it in place. So this piece right here, this metal piece, was the problem. It doesn't hold it tight on this bottom bar, but it does have this hole here. So I tried to drill through it into the pipe so that I could put a screw in, and our drill bits, even though they're made for metal, they didn't quite work. So I'm sure there's other tools out there, but what I did was just get some of this metal plumber's tape. There's a bunch of holes in it, and you can bend it around. So that's what I did, and I just screwed some screws into it to hold it in place. And as you can see, I've also done that to hold up our metal framing to our 2x6s. So when our wheels are in place and we're ready to move this thing, it all holds together. And that seems to be working pretty well. I have not moved the tractor yet, so we're going to test it out in a little bit. The last thing that I have to do is put our tarp on the roof. This tarp here came with the kit. It is like a tent material, so it's not really a tarp, it's more waterproof. So I've added that on here, and it seems to be a pretty decent quality as well. I'd say all of the materials on this or in this kit are about 7.5 to 8 for quality. So I put that on there for extra protection. I am going to put a huge tarp over the whole thing, so we're going to get to that in a minute. And then I did zip tie that down, so we'll see how I'm going to figure out to attach the big tarp once we get that up there. The turkey tractor is now complete. I'm super excited. I think it turned out pretty good. I'll show you how we put on the tarp, and then we're going to test it out and see how it works. So the big gray tarp that we just put on is 20 feet by 10 or 12 feet, one or the other. And it's black on the inside, gray on the outside. So we just zip tied it to the front on the wire, and then down here we had to fold it under because it's a little long, And I used some more of that metal plumbing tape or pipe wrap, called a few different things, with a screw, and I put the screw through the eyelet of each one down the line. And the reason why I folded it under and on the back side is because I don't want the rain catching in that fold. So it's all smooth on the outside here, and looking pretty good. I also wanted to mention I used two 2x6x8s for the side, and I just trimmed them up a little bit to fit the dimensions of the metal poultry pen. But I used this to help secure them together, and then I also did an angle like that on both the bottom and the top, and there's actually two of these, so that's holding that together. And then on the back side I put another tarp just for some more wind protection and to help keep them a little bit warmer at night. We are getting into the 30s and 40s at night, and during the day it's about 50 to 60 degrees, so that's gonna help keep them a little bit warmer, and they're getting plenty of airflow through that top triangle. During the summer, when it does get a little bit warmer, I might take this off just so they can get more air coming through there and it doesn't get too stuffy. But right now they're quite small. They're actually still using a heat lamp at night, so we'll see. I might hang a heat lamp in here, I might not. We'll just wait it out and see how they feel. So yeah, this is the back. It's a folded tarp. This one was 10 feet by 8 feet, I want to say. And then this is the other side, same thing. We are going to test out these wheels and roll it down there. So let's check it out. First wheel. Second wheel. This is the third wheel. That one I had to put the most pressure on, I think because we're on a hill and I'm lifting it up the ground the most on that corner. All right, last wheel. We're gonna get this whole thing up off the ground. All right, everything is off the ground now, and we're gonna try to pull it. Alright, so we're down by the animal area. We got the tractor down, super easy. The wheels are very smooth, and I'm really only pulling 15 to 20 pounds when I'm pulling it down, which is amazing. The whole thing I'm sure weighs over 200 pounds. So the only thing, now that I've pulled it, that I would change is probably the size of my wheels or tires. I think if they were a little bit bigger, then I could get some more inches off the ground. Right now, when I go over like a hilly area or a bump, it drags in the middle pole. So that's the only thing. Right now, it's probably off the ground 2 to 3 inches, which isn't bad. So I think it'll be fine. But just keep in keep that in mind if you're gonna build one. Go for some slightly bigger tires. These are 10 inches. But overall, it did great. And I'm really looking forward to putting the turkeys in and seeing how they like it. They definitely need an upgrade. Right now, they are in this chicken tractor. So they are growing so fast. They outgrew their brooder about 2 weeks ago. So they've been outside on the grass for 2 weeks and they're doing great. So now I think it's time for an upgrade. So let's go get their food and water in there and then we'll move them over. Another thing to mention about this is it really only moves forward and backward. So when I need to go around something or change direction, I do need to lift the whole front up and then just move it while the wheels are still on the ground on the back. And when I'm doing that, I'm lifting about 50 pounds, maybe somewhere around there. All right, so I'm gonna put up the feeder and the water right now. I'm going to hang them from the ceiling with chain, and I'm also using an S-hook here and the same tool that we used on the front with that chain and eye bolt. So first I'm going to use my S-hook on the feeder and then hook it onto my chain, and then I'm going to wrap the chain around the ceiling and fasten it with this little twisty, I don't even know what you would call it, the little piece that has a spinner on it. Now we're ready for the turkeys. I did end up hooking up a heat lamp just to give them the option if they wanted to tonight to sit under it. I think they're really enjoying the space. They've been flapping their wings, running around. Alright, so a quick review over everything. I think that the kit itself is probably an 8 out of 10. There are some pieces in it that you will need to modify to make it work. And as far as quality goes, I think the piping and all the connector pieces are good quality. They're going to last you a long time. But the chicken wire is something that's probably going to need to be replaced more quickly than the rest of the kit, and obviously it's not completely predator proof, so keep that in mind. So overall I'd give it about an 8 out of 10. And then with all of the customization and things that I've done with it, sorry the turkeys are pecking at the camera, I think this is pushing a 9.5. I think this is great. Hopefully it'll last a while. I think the tarp is probably going to need to be replaced within the next 2 to 3 years, but everything else should last a long time. Is this worth getting? Is this kit worth getting? I think so. Are you going to need to modify it a little bit to make it work? Yes, you probably will. But overall, I think it's a pretty good deal, and it's great for extra space and infrastructure if that's what your farm needs. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.